तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। We start with chapter 5. Chapter 5, verse number 1. I'll quickly write the breakup, the acronym for chapter 5.
Leave the bottle open. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Every spiritual endeavor begins with a step. If you check chapter 3, the name of chapter 3 is also Karma Yoga. There's a difference. Chapter 4 is transcendental knowledge. That's what we concluded last Tuesday. Right? Chapter 5 today is again Karma Yoga. And what is it? It again begins with Arjun's question. This 5.1, the first verse in chapter 5 is Arjuna's question. He wants a little more clarity on what exactly is this Karma Yoga. That's why even Prabhupada emphasizes it, writing there, action in Krishna consciousness. So what is the difference between chapter 3 and chapter 5? Krishna gets another chance to re-emphasize on what is action in Krishna consciousness. What does it exactly mean? He gets a chance to stress it all over again and break a lot of misconceptions. When we do 5.1, I'll elaborate on that. So the acronym for chapter 5 is STEP. We quickly revise chapter 1 acronym. It's doubt. D-O-U-B-T. D stands for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. O stands for ominous results. U stands for uncertainty that Arjun had. B stands for his bewilderment. And T is the turning point when Arjun actually decides to not fight. He says, Govinda, I shall not fight. Chapter 2, the acronym is Gita. Because it's a summary of the entire Gita. There's around 72 verses, one of the biggest chapters of the Gita. G stands for Guru, where Arjun surrenders to Krishna, saying that I'm very confused, I don't understand, I'm indecisive about what I'm supposed to do, what is my duty, what should be the course of my action. I stands for identity, or the basic foundation of any spiritual knowledge. Krishna gives Arjun his real identity, saying that you are the body, not the soul. You're the soul, not the body. I was trying to spell attentive. T stands for two dharmas. Saying that one dharma that you have is pertaining to this body, to this gross body. The time, the place, the circumstances that this gross body is. There's another dharma, that is the Sanatana dharma, which is the dharma of the soul, who you really are. You're only giving importance to the dharmas of this body and neglecting the dharma of the soul. See, to these two dharmas, that's actually the point where Krishna actually introduces this concept of work and devotion, but very, very little. The A part of Gita is Atmaram, where Arjuna asks the question of what is a sthita pragya, what is a person in Krishna consciousness when his mind is very stable. How does that person behave? How does he walk? How does he sit? What's his language? Basically, how does he react? How does he live in this material world? From 72 onwards, Krishna finishes that. That's Gita. Chapter 3 is
Tree.
Tree. Where T stands for Tyag. Where Arjun says that I would rather renounce than work, than fight. He gets confused. He thinks that that's an option that Krishna has given him. Either you work in devotion or you renounce everything. It's one and the same thing. But Krishna says that's not an option. And he gives R. R stands for rungs of the ladder. He says that work in devotion and Tyag are the same steps of a ladder, the yoga ladder. It's a step. It's not an option that's going to reach in the same place. It's not an option. These are all steps. When you work in devotion, you automatically become renounced. That is exactly the point which he re-emphasizes and stresses in this chapter 5. That's one take-home factor in 3. Then at one point they get a little diverted, where Arjun asks the question that why does a person behave sinfully? Before that he begins E, the first E in tree, which stands for exemplary. That how a person who actually has a renounced spirit, he gives the example of himself, saying that I don't have any work to perform. Namam karmani limpanti. He says there's no karma that I need to perform, but I'm still doing it to set an example for others. Then he gives the example of King Janaka, who is the father of Mother Sita, and he says that this is possible. You can work still in devotion. Renunciation is not the only. It's not an option, especially for Arjun. Oh, sorry. Just started and just revising all the chapters. And the last E starts at a point where Arjun asks a question about enemy of the soul. He says that if this is the thing, if the soul is transcendental, then what is it that pulls him towards so much ignorance? It's like papam charati, it's some force which pulls you, even though you have the knowledge that this is sinful, but still people indulge in that sinful activity. So then Krishna says that enemy of the soul is lust. And the last, I think about 8 or 9 verses is just upon this lust. And then Krishna says that how to get rid of this lust is by transcendental knowledge. And that's where chapter 4 begins. The name of chapter 4 is transcendental knowledge. From 4 on the what is the A? What is years. E stands for eternal education. Krishna says that this Bhagavad Gita is nothing new. I've given it to Vivaswan, who's the sun god, Surya Dev, how many years back? Millions of years back. And the same thing I'm giving you. You just have to know about my activities. You just have to know about my transcendental body. When you understand these things, that how my activities are divine, you will get out of this material bondage. That is transcendental knowledge. How important and how purifying it is. Then he says how to accurately understand and apply it. That is 4.11 to 15. I think those 5 verses he says on how to apply. And R stands for reactions. What is in reactions? He talks about karma, vikarma. He says that there are 3 types of actions. There's karma, there's vikarma, and there's akarma. He says that there are pious activities which will give you punya, take you to heavenly planets. Then vikarma it's like a sinful activity. You will again have to take birth in sometimes animal kingdom or back into this earth planet and suffer for your bad actions, you'll get bad reaction. And there's a third option of akarma. That is action in Krishna consciousness. Then he gives Arjun's 10 options of sacrifices. There are a lot of sacrifices that he mentions. You can either do this, you can either do that. And in the end of it he says, there's one option of giving everything to Krishna. Everything to Krishna. How to understand that? And then in the end of that, he tells Arjun, you stand up and fight. So this is the point where Arjun gets confused. He said, you just said that renounce everything for me, and now you're asking me to fight. Get up and fight. Can we read 4.42, I think it is? 42 hai na? Every time I get confused. Na?
Yeah.
What's the translation of that? Can everyone read the translation of 4.42?
Therefore the words which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge.
Correct.
Armed with yoga, O Bharta, stand and fight.
Right. So this is the point where Arjun gets confused. He thought that renunciation, once you're in knowledge, that means you don't have to work. This is the idea that he gets. And then Krishna is telling him, stand up and fight. He's confused. Then some might think that already an entire chapter is over in action in Krishna consciousness, how one must work, and it's the same thing. And then actually it's Krishna's plan that Arjun remains confused, so that he gets to break the biggest misconception of spirituality that people have. Anyone goes to the temple, and the most people who attend are the family members.
Yeah.
Ye to gayi. She's gone. Now she's not going to be. Now she's not interested in family life. Even if some think that you are still interested, they will still doubt you. Some people get the idea that I'm supposed to stop my business. I'm supposed to stop my, these children are all Maya. Spouse is Maya. Many people have this idea. Krishna breaks this misconception in this chapter 5. He says how the first part is stay in the world. This is something like how in the Bible Jesus Christ says that be in the world but not of the world. Have you heard that? So the first 12 verses, what we're going to do today, start today, is stay in the world. T stands for three doers. That's just, Krishna gives a little bit of, it's just an introduction part. 13 to 16. Why am I writing 1 here? Sorry, 5. 5.1 to 5.12, 5.13 to 5.16, 3 verses. (5.17 to 5.28). P is the P's formula. 5.only 29.
Please formula.
24th? 24th. 24th. It's still in July. Not in August yet. 7. Can we start? So as our usual pattern is, we do all a marathon between 5.1 to 5.12, read the verses and the translation, all of us together. Then we come back to 5.1 for elaborating each verse. Can you start with 5.1? Everyone's ready?
Yes.
All your marks. We've been running. 5.1. Start. Arjuna uvacha sanyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha samshasti yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. All of us together. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? 5.2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karavubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate. Translation. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. 5.3 Neya sanitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhatra muchyate. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. 5.4 Sankhya Yoga Prithak Balaha Pravadanti Na Panditaha Ekam Apyastitah Samyak Ubhayor Vindate Phalam. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from analytical study of the material world, sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths
achieves the results of
both. 5.5 Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tad yogerapi gamyate ekam sankhyan cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. 5.6 Sanyasastu mahabaho dukham maptum ayogatah yoga yukto manir brahma nachirena digacchati. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. 5.7 Yogo yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvanapi na lipyate. One who works in devotion, one is pure as soul and who controls mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. 8 to 9, it's together. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid pashyan shrinivan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan vishrijan grinan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. Translation. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually has nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. 10th one. Brahmanyadhaya karmani Sangam tyakva karoti yaha lipyate na sapapena padma patram ivambhasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. 5.11 Kayena manasa buddhya kevalerindriyerapi yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva shuddhaye. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. 5.12 Yuktaha karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayuktaha kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate. The stellarly devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Can we turn to 5.1 again? Please repeat after me. Arjuna uvacha Sanyasam karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha shamsasi Yachreyayetayorekam Tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Shilpa, I'll read the translations.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?
Right. So here, as I mentioned before, 5.10 Arjuna is asking a question. He is confused between what?
Krishna wants him to do.
Between what? What are the two things he is confused between?
Renunciation and
Renunciation of work and work in devotion. Is this clear? Because we need to know what the confusion is. Whereas Krishna gives a solution, we will be confused. Right? 5.1 Arjuna states his confusion, thinking then again these two are options. Either I renounce work or I work in devotion. And what do I want to pick? Obviously I don't want to fight. That's what he's saying. Who wants to be in this dirty material world? There's so much agony, there's so much confusion. Rather than just renounce everything. He thinks that's again an option. But he still clarifies. He says, Oh Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? He is asking a clear-cut thing. Either you tell me to do this or you tell me to do this. By giving me both options and then talking about both options, it's simply confusing. Right? So here, this is the only purport that I am going to read because it gives in summary of and a chain of all the chapters. I'll start reading. Is everyone together? In this 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Yeah? This entire chapter is just this one line. Krishna is saying that you have to work. Even if you have knowledge, you have to work. This is what he said even in the 3rd chapter. To set an example for others. Right? We'll emphasize this later when we come to that exact shloka where Krishna says that, it's better. Devotion, otherwise everyone will think Prabhupada is writing it. Yeah. Prabhupada is writing a summary of the entire chapter. What Krishna actually emphasizes all the time. But when we come to this point, I'll take it up again. Devotional service is easier than the latter. Latter is renouncing or simply knowledge. Because being transcendental in nature. Now what is transcendental in nature? Devotional work. It frees one from reaction. Correct? Now he's summarizing all previous chapters. He's given a summary of the entire 5th chapter. What is better than dry mental speculation? Devotional service. Why is it better? Because of its nature. It's spiritual in nature. It's transcendental in nature. The person who's performing, even if he has mental attributes, even if he has a material motivation, devotional service is so pure that he not only purifies that person's desires, but the very existence of that person and his past reactions also. You see how powerful devotional service and how purifying it is? That's why Krishna says it's better to perform that than simply renunciation. Later on also he says why renunciation is bad. Only renunciation. Sorry, not renunciation, but only renunciation is bad. In 2nd chapter, sorry, not bad or not ideal. It's not bad. It's not ideal. In the 2nd chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. Correct? Identity part was that. Then, how to get out of this material engagement by Buddhi Yoga or devotional service was also explained in the same chapter. 3rd chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. Now you understand why Arjun is confused? He thinks if I know everything that I'm the soul, not this body, then I don't have any actions. I don't have to perform any activities. I can go and take sannyas. Simply knowledge is enough. This is what he is thinking. This is the root cause of the confusion. So just remember this point for this chapter. In the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjun that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. Right? Means even if you do these activities, what will you get? Knowledge. Right? Now, however, at the end of 4th chapter, the Lord advised Arjun to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. He says, if I have knowledge, then I don't need duties to perform. Whatever duty I'll perform, that will also give me knowledge. So then why do I need to work? This is the confusion of Arjun. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjun and confused his determination. Arjun understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. Yeah, why? Because that will simply give me material bondage, birth after birth. This is the reason. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyas or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity, because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. Do you understand? He thinks that either you work or renounce. This is point number 3. For him, for Arjun, work and renunciation are incompatible. Now Krishna gives a solution in chapter 5 that how they can be one and the same thing. Apparently to all of us we feel that either something is troublesome, just give up. Krishna, what he's going to teach us? He's going to teach us to work in a renounced spirit. This is chapter 5 all about. Now you get it? Arjun is as confused as us. Right? So where am I? He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive. Means when you work in devotion, it doesn't give you any material reaction. And is therefore same as inaction. He inquires therefore whether he should cease work altogether or work in full knowledge. He says, give me one thing to do. I can't do both. Because he thinks both are
incompatible.
He thinks both are different things. Right? Now 5.2. Can we start? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Please repeat.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Sannyas सन्न्यासः कर्मयोगश्च निःश्रेयसकरावुभौ तयोस्तु कर्म सन्न्यासात् कर्मयोगो विशिष्यते. Translation,
The
Kavita.
personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
So what is Krishna saying here very clearly? What does he prefer? Yeah, both are good for liberation. That's the point he's making. And then the second point he's making, which is better?
Working in devotional service.
He definitely says devotional service is better. Now to emphasize that, Prabhupada has given a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's there in your purport. I'm reading that. Can you see it? Chapter 5, Canto 5, verse 4 and 6. Can you see the huge thing?
Yeah.
Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yadindriya priti apranoti na sadhu manye yatatmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadehe deha parabhavastavad jato yavanna jigyasatatmatattvam yavat kriyastavadidam manovai कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्धः एवं मनः कर्मवशं प्रयुङ्क्ते विद्यात्मन्य उपधीयमाने प्रीतिर्न यावन्मयि वासुदेवे न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत्. What does this mean? People are mad after sense gratification. Agree? Srimad Bhagavatam is always right. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. But we're still crazy. In spite of knowing that this misery is whatever that is happening in this material body is because of our past same activities of sense gratification, but still people are mad. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Body includes the mind also. It's not only the gross body. It's also the mind. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real identity. What's the real identity? We being the soul, not this body. As long as he does not know his real identity, he has to work for fruitive results for sense gratification. And as long as one is engrossed in consciousness of sense gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Correct? That is inevitable. Unless I don't realize that I am the soul, not this body, I will keep doing material activities. It's inevitable. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudev. Pritirna yavan mayi Vasudeve means it's okay. Even if you're right now engaged in material activities, no problem. What should one do now? What's that? I lost the line. Develop a love for devotional service to Vasudev. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. Get it? Until we are in this concept of being the material body. Now we know that we are not this body, we are the soul. We've said it like 10,000 times in the class. Heard it, right? 10,000? Aram se? 20,000? We've heard it so many times. Right from Journey of Self-Discovery to Advanced Bhagavad Gita courses and now Bhagavad Gita Overview. We've been hearing only these things. That we are not this body, we are the soul. We are not this body, we are the soul. Yet we are engaged in material activities. Krishna says no problem. Srimad Bhagavatam says that you simply have to develop a love for devotional service now, because that will become a key to your happiness. The search for happiness was the first day of Journey of Self-Discovery. Correct? And here Rupa Goswami, in the next paragraph, there's another beautiful shloka. It's written by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. In the same purport, can you see that? Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Now here, Arjun is talking about renunciation. Imagine I go to Nehal's house. Nehal is sitting there. I go to her house and I say that मैंने ये घर त्याग दिया. What will happen?
It won't make sense.
My husband will throw me out of the house. Yeah? If it doesn't belong to me, can I renounce it? Yes?
No.
No. It doesn't even belong to me. How can I renounce it? Yeah? Rupa Goswami is trying to say, when everything belongs to Krishna, what can we renounce? Is my renunciation complete?
No.
It's nonsense. Yeah? So here he is confused about work in devotion and renunciation. But the very point that Krishna is trying to make, or Prabhupada or Rupa Goswami is writing here, is when everything belongs to Krishna, what can we renounce? We can simply use those things in service to Krishna. That is complete renunciation. What does a monkey do when he tastes the grapes and the grapes are sour? Throws them. These material things are giving me anxiety. They are the cause of my material bondage. So I simply throw them. I renounce them. Arjun in the first chapter saw that these relations, these things are going to give me this duty, this Kshatriya body is going to give me pain. It's going to give me sinful reactions. It's going to kill all my kinsmen, my relatives. What do? I take sannyas. I go into the forest. I simply renounce. What is Krishna trying to say? Number one, you're not even this body, you're the soul. Whatever is given to you, you have to accept. Like Ishopanishad, the first shloka says. First shloka of Ishopanishad. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Ish is Ishwar, the Supreme Controller. Sarvam, everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Everyone gets a kincha, gets a quota. Everyone has their quota, which the Lord gives Himself according to their karma, desires, past activities, destiny, whatever you call it. Everyone gets their quota for the time being. What do you do with that quota is what is going to be your future. Get it? You don't snatch each other's quota. You be happy. So number one, you be content with your quota. And then what do you do with your quota? When you use that whatever you've had in service to Krishna, that very same thing which could be a reason for your bondage becomes your cause for liberation. That is what Krishna is teaching in the 5th chapter. How to turn these apparently material activities to a karma or to action in Krishna consciousness. So that's why he's saying devotional service is better, because simply renunciation won't work. You have to understand that everything belongs to Krishna. Renunciation is incomplete. When you use that in service of Krishna, not for my own sense gratification, then obviously that's better.
But by him fighting, he's not fighting for Krishna.
He's fighting for Krishna because he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want the kingdom. He wants to go away. But what does Krishna want to do through someone as righteous as Arjun? He wants to bring back dharma. He wants to keep someone righteous on the king. He didn't want Duryodhan to be the king. He wanted Yudhishthira to be the king. So he is using Arjun as an instrument. Arjun is not understanding
But before
that.
he came on the battlefield, he wanted to fight, right? Arjuna, before entering the
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
then seeing
That
everybody
time,
good.
after seeing everyone, he
Changes his mind. Changes his mind. Because he was still at the level of thinking that, these things are happening for me. He misunderstood even Krishna. He was thinking Krishna is my cousin, so he's feeling for me, so he's brought me to this battlefield. But no. Krishna says everything, whatever I plan is, one of the things was that he wanted someone like Pandavas to be the king. If the Pandavas became sinful, then he would change, he would ask someone else. If it was like that, then Krishna himself could have been the king, no? Right? Then there was no problem. Duryodhan would automatically, Krishna is in his heart, he would just get his heart attack for him. How long does it take for him to squeeze his heart? Not much. all the Kurus would just die in a minute, in a second. Krishna himself could have been the king, but he wanted to show that how people who are righteous should be kept up. Yeah? So this is Krishna's plan, but Arjuna was not understanding. And he gives him a plan for life, not only for this particular battlefield. And using Arjuna, he is teaching all of us. Basically, in this 5th chapter, Krishna is trying to say, it's a very important thing which Burijan Prabhu, he is a disciple of Prabhupada, he writes, he says, if we renounce before our hearts are clean, we will be forced by our unclean hearts to engage in improper activities.
Is it in the book?
It's not there in the book.
Okay.
Oh, you're searching, sorry. I was wondering why everyone is looking down. It's written by Burijan Prabhu. When he was giving a class, he was telling us this, that if we renounce with an unclean heart, what happens? That unclean heart will force us to do improper activities. Yeah? The senses will demand engagement. Correct? Because senses are not purified. They're not used to reading the Bhagavad Gita all the time. They're not used to acting in devotional service all the time. So they will demand an engagement. The senses are not pure. Heart is not pure. Heart basically means the mind. If the mind is not pure, the senses are still impure. They will demand engagement. But Gyan Yoga forbids sense activity. Once you're renounced, can you do any sensual activity? No. Renounced. You're supposed to sit like a sadhu. Then, unless the senses are engaged in good work, it will be difficult to stop improper work. When a child is very naughty, can you just say, "Bed chup chap se"? No, you can't. What do? You give him something to play. You give him some activity. You give him some engagement. When he's doing something wrong, what do? You simply take it and give him something else. Otherwise, throw a tantrum. Right? The senses are like that. You have to give them some engagement, or they throw a tantrum. Correct? So then it's difficult to stop improper work. Krishna therefore recommends to always keep the senses engaged while simultaneously trying to purify the heart by working with detachment. This is more practical and therefore a superior path. Because you're engaged. At least right now you're not doing something wrong. It's not an improper activity. Devotional service is the best activity. That itself will give you the proper knowledge. That itself will purify your past reactions. Correct? That itself will give us intelligence on what to do. And what will simply renunciation do? Drag us back to material activity. With an unclean heart. Someone who has a clean heart can renounce. That's why here for Arjun, who's still in a grihastha life, it's not an option for him. Right? Can we start 5.3? Being pretty slow today. So everything belongs to Krishna. Everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. This is essence of 5.2.
That's such a lovely thing you said about the house.
Yeah, like Neha's husband will throw me out.
I mean, you don't realize that you think you're giving up things, you know?
They're not yours only.
Yeah.
5.3.
What is the meaning of a sense of enjoyment?
Sense enjoyment.
Sense of enjoyment. I mean, when you say that you're enjoying, what does it mean?
What does it mean? You're indulging in it. Your senses are trying to derive pleasure out of it.
So,
that is sense
so
enjoyment.
any kind of enjoyment is bad. Does it
No.
come to that? What does it mean?
When you're doing it for your own sense gratification, that is the word Prabhupada uses. What does it mean? It means I'm exploiting it. It's because I'm getting pleasure. I'm not trying to use it for Krishna's service. I'm using it because I get pleasure out of it. Suppose if you are married, you have a wife. If you simply exploit your wife simply because you're getting pleasure, not thinking her as a child of Krishna and do what she likes, or do what would please Krishna, rather than what is best for me. That's what this whole world is about. Actually, if you see, it's running basically on this principle only, that I, me and mine. Because it belongs to me, I am the proprietor of it, I am the controller of it, and I am going to use it because I like it. That ego, that sense of false ego, that sense of proprietorship.
So when I go to see a picture or go to see a movie, if I enjoy the movie,
Mm-hmm.
is it guilty to feel bad?
You answer the question. What do you think? Are you thinking of Krishna? How is it pleasing Krishna?
It's not pleasing Krishna. They're going for a movie.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
It is entertaining.
It is entertainment.
All of us do it. I mean, it's
If you remember
necessary
the
to
first
keep
day
your-
of journey of self-discovery, seed, sleeping, eating, enjoyment and defending. Yeah. Samanya metat pashubir narana. There are two things. There are animals and human beings. Correct? Now animals have these activities of sleeping, eating, enjoyment and defending. It's the same with humans. Humans have given some extra ability. Do you remember that? It was A, B, C, D. You did it with humans. That's ability for higher inquiry, access of bliss, choice and determination. Yeah? How am I using this A, B, C, D when I'm watching a movie? It's simply some animalistic activity. This human life is 100 years, 70 years.
Yeah.
Yeah? Very, very little, very short span of life. And I'm using that, and I'm not using this body, simultaneously at least, not using this body and going close to Krishna for what this body is actually given to me for. Then what is it? Is it good or is it bad? Or is it progressive? You can decide for yourself. This human life is extremely expensive. These watching movies or sleeping, eating, enjoyment, defending, whatever form, we've already done it in animal life. When right now when we are humans, we're given an extra facility. One extra chance that now I can break this material bondage, I can break this material body and go back to the spiritual world. Anything and everything that obstructs that particular facility of mine
The waste.
is waste of time, energy and precious human life. Yeah? Chanakya Pandit says that even a moment lost in human life is like millions of gold coins. Someone who's actually intelligent will calculate his loss. Imagine losing millions of gold coins every minute, every moment. What's your loss? There's no problem in sleeping, eating, enjoyment and defending. There's absolutely no problem. But in human life, when we're only doing that, then that's a problem. We need to also engage our time in ABCD. Ability for higher inquiry, try to access that spiritual bliss. The Bhakti Yoga, that's what Krishna is trying to say. Apply the choices. We have a choice, animals don't have a choice. They simply run after their senses. Whatever their senses demand, we are running after it. And then determination. Does that answer your question?
No.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to tell me is that there should be a balance.
There should be a balance. There must be a balance. We should understand what is my goal. Sometimes movies are also a social obligation. If you take movies per se, sometimes it's an obligation, your children are there, you're a family person. You go out for entertainment. Even devotees go out for recreation. What is the goal? That we should not be doing only that. We should also chant.
So do your 16 rounds and go, then that's okay.
Do you know your goal? Do you know your goal? Are you chanting 16 rounds because...
watching movie without having that guilt factor.
How do you watch the movie? If you know the goal, it's fine.
What is the goal? What should be the goal?
I
You
think
tell
you're
me,
missing
you've been
Krishna
attending
and
every
remembering
day.
him in the movie. That's a higher consciousness you've reached, I think.
Sorry?
If you go for the movie and you feel that I'm missing my Lord, I think then you've reached a very good level in your life.
I think with the movie, when you go in the movie, the medium is so powerful. I don't think you can really think of something else unless you don't enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
So that's not really practical. I don't think even the highest devotee can go for a movie.
You don't get involved or you don't get affected by that movie, then that's okay.
That's not fair, I would say. It's like...
I mean, today all families
This is
going
like,
to
that's what
office,
Arjun is
everyone
trying to do,
It's stupid.
material activities, trying to
Sometimes
run
the
away.
Work, but
Sometimes
renounce.
the movie gives a value. I mean, you go and see a movie like Anand. I enjoyed the movie and I got a value out of it.
Exactly.
What message you take?
Yeah.
It's an education. I mean,
Very good.
Smile.
If it is very good. In fact, if it
My
teaches you the thing of death, the fear of death, then it's very good.
Well, I mean, It's one
I've seen
movie. There are
Anand.
several others.
There are lots of Hanumans to be honest.
Anyway, we'll come back to the point because this is what Krishna is trying to say, how to balance it out. What do you see renunciation as, and what do you see? If you're acting in devotional service, if you're using good amount of your human life in devotional service, no one can stop seed. Am I saying to stop seed? I'm not asking you to stop sleeping, eating, enjoyment and defending. You need that for for this material body to exist. But what is more important is getting out of this material body. That's more important than just seed. Only seed is what I'm against. One who neither hates, no, we didn't do the shloka, na? 5.3. Gneyasa nitya sannyasi. Yona dveshti na kankshati. Nirdvandvo hi mahabaho. Sukham bandhat pramuchyate.
One who neither hates.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty Arjuna.
Right. I'm reading the purport. One who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer, because he feels neither hatred nor desire for results of his activities. So here, Krishna is introducing a concept of Nitya Sannyasi. What's a Nitya Sannyasi? Means he's always renounced. One who is in Krishna consciousness, one who knows that everything belongs to Krishna, he's a Nitya Sannyasi. He's always renounced. If you're watching a movie, we simply see that this is the material world, this is what, Maya can produce. What will be the spiritual world? Simply see the glory of Krishna through that thing. It's devotional service. If you can't, then there's a problem. Such a renouncer, dedicated to transcendental loving service of the Lord, is fully qualified in knowledge, because he knows that his constitutional position is in relationship with Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and he is part and parcel of Krishna. That's my identity. When I actually engage in that identity of satisfying Krishna, I'll be truly happy. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. Knowledge that one is in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading one to become full in himself. Now here Krishna is trying to use Prabhupada is trying to introduce the Mayavadi concept, where some people think that, some philosophers think that we can become God, we can become Krishna, but we are part and parcels. A part cannot become the whole. And knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct. Transcendental knowledge leading to become full in himself, having nothing to aspire to or lament over. There is no duality in his mind, because whatever he does for Krishna. Being thus freed from platform of dualities, he is liberated even in this material world. In South India there was this devotee called Anantacharya. When he was bitten by a snake, the deity was Varadraj. The deity is still there in Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram? Close to Coimbatore. In Kanchipuram there is this deity called Varadraj. When his devotee, his pujari, was bitten by a snake, he became frantic. And he sent the pujari saying that take some, herbs that can cure this devotee of mine. But the devotee was not bothered. He said that if this snake is so poisonous, and bitten me, and what will I do after I die? I'll go to the spiritual world and serve the Lord. And what am I doing here? Still serving the Lord. So for me, whether I die or not die, I'm doing the same activity. So why should I waste my time after this medicine? That's a very high level. Yeah. But this is what the consciousness of a devotee is, that I'll be still serving my Lord. That person is a Nitya Sannyasi. 5.5.
But
Yet-
when the body is
5.4.
given to you,
5.4.
when the body is given to you, it is your business to see that the body is kept in good.
shape.
Yeah.
That was his consciousness. He was not affected by it. And actually, he did not take medicine and nothing happened to him. But that's not what happened to me.
His devotion was of that.
His devotion was of that caliber. That he had the power.
5.5.
5.5?
4.
Sorry. Sankhya yoga prithav balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekam apyastitah samyag ubhayor vindate phalam. Strong, is it Vaishali?
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both.
That's right. And the purport, there's an analogy used, that is watering the root of a tree. I'll just read only that portion. The aim of analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of material world is Vishnu or the super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree and the other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages in the service of the Lord. Now there are two things here. Arjuna is confused about renunciation or knowledge. Here Krishna uses a different word for it. He uses the word Sankhya. The first word of the shloka is Sankhya Yoga. That could be renunciation. And then there is work in devotion or Karma Yoga. In this analogy, Prabhupada writes, the Sankhya Yoga is like finding the root of what? Of a tree. If this material world is compared to a tree, specifically in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the first verse, Krishna says, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakam Ashwatham. Ashwath is a banyan tree. The main root, and then there's a trunk, and then there are leaves, there are branches. Correct? This material world is compared to a tree. Yeah? And the root is the main portion of the trees. The nourishing agent, that's where everything is coming from. So Sankhya Yoga is like finding the root of the tree. And what is work in devotion? Watering that root. I'll go more deeper into this analogy. Who is the root of the material existence? Vishnu. Here it's written Vishnu or even Krishna, interchangeably used. So what is watering the root? What does it mean?
Serving Krishna.
Serving Krishna, serving Vishnu. Is this okay? This much have you understood? The analogy is about finding the root of the tree and watering the root of the tree. Finding the root is like Sankhya philosophy. You read all the Shastras. You understand that I am not the soul, not the body, I am the soul. All these things, and you find that the root of finally the epitome or the highest part of Sankhya Yoga is to find Vishnu, who is the root of the tree. What does devotional service say? That you water the root of the tree, that is, you serve Vishnu. Now a question. In 5.2, what did Krishna say? What is better than what?
Devotional service
Is better. Krishna is saying that this is better than this. Can you say why?
That is devotional service.
Because all your senses are engaged.
Senses are engaged, that is devotional service.
It's easier,
It's easier, practical.
practical.
Sure, all those things he said. If you notice, does watering the root include finding the root?
No.
Obviously.
Okay.
It does unless you find
How
out.
will you water the root?
It does.
If you don't know whether root.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You agree? Do you agree?
Correct.
Does watering the root include finding the root?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Everyone agrees?
Yeah.
Anyone has a doubt about it? Does finding the root include watering the root?
No. No, not necessary.
Not necessary.
But if you water, if the root is not there, what will you water?
I'm saying,
For the root or your
no, my question is, does watering the root include finding the root?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if you found it, then you water it.
Yeah.
Does finding the root include watering the root? No. So when
It is a
Krishna
part of-
says,
it is a part of watering the root.
it's a part of
Finding
watering
the
the
root
root.
is what is finding the root is a part of watering the root.
No.
To get to know what exactly
Basically,
is
Yeah, once you're watering the root, that means you've already found the root and you're watering it now. So it includes. So what I'm trying to say, why is Krishna saying devotional service is better?
to the point that
It
he makes
includes
is
both.
important. Can you water without knowing?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It is like, see, this is what happens. Like, you don't know what is a rule. Usually, you're supposed to just say, told that you have to do such and such thing. You don't know what is a rule. It is very much possible. It is both of them are same. That is what it is.
But the
It is just
intention
that one is faster, and this one is like
Why
it
is
takes
Krishna
time.
saying devotional service is better?
Yeah, that exactly.
Because it
I'm saying
includes
devotional service.
Because it includes this.
It is faster.
It includes
See,
knowing,
finding the root. Once you find the root, you are going to serve. You understand.
You're
the
going to
purpose.
water it.
Then you water. See,
That
not-
is secondary.
Yes.
Hmm?
And there you are watering the root means you are already on the process. It is immaterial whether you know the root or you don't know the root. Once you
Oh, you're only watering.
Unless
My
you have a
question
goal,
is-
unless you have a goal, how can you perform devotional
If you don't know
service?
where roots are, what you water.
That also
Number one.
happens.
What shloka? There's a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, "Akamo sarva kamova moksha kamudaridi." Means if you have some material desire, or you don't have a material desire, moksha kamudaridi. Even moksha kam. Even if you have only the point of means you only want moksha, you only want liberation. Means you want to be away from these material miseries. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham parama. Means if you are serving Krishna, you're eventually going to come to bhakti. This is the power of this
So
thing.
you're
But
already
here
on
what
the path.
Krishna is talking about, he is very clear. Krishna is not giving, that is a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam saying that even if you have a material desire, please come to Krishna.
Correct.
Yeah. That's what the Vedas are saying. Kuch bhi ho Krishna ke paas, आओ, because that will purify you, it will take you out of the material bondage, out of material misery. It's the ultimate solution. But here what Krishna is talking about, he is very clear. What is devotional service? You work for me. There's no confusion in it. Here he is saying find the root. When you find the root, obviously you know that you have to water it, but you've not done it yet.
That exactly.
And it's a choice. No, it's a choice at that point.
And later on also he says that this, sometimes people fall down also.
Correct.
Simply with knowledge. Because the senses are not yet purified.
Here
So it's
it-
incomplete.
Here what they have compared is that both the processes are same. People say the devotional service is less
Less.
than this. But
It's not
actually
less.
it is both, the aim is the same. But what we have to take home is that the finding the root of a tree, it is that time is gone where you are not serving the root. You know?
Not yet.
Where here, even if you don't know, you know. We take that we know, then all the more that we are on the process, on the path. But we don't know, still we are on the process and we are getting the benefit.
Here when you don't know,
The knowledge with
one second, let me
Yeah.
complete my sentence. When you're serving the root, you will automatically know that this is the best. This is the experience, or there's
See,
also
then that
one of
is
the
ignorance.
things.
If you're just watering without knowing anything, then that's ignorance.
That's fine.
That's
So
fine.
Krishna
Yeah,
saying,
with the knowledge that
Krishna
is
saying
faster.
no
Yes.
and water, that is
Yes.
devotional service.
Yes.
Get it? Knowing and watering is devotional service. This is simply knowing.
Yes.
With this, you will obviously do this. In that sense, is the same.
Yeah.
In 5.2, when Krishna says devotional service is better, he says that because it
It's a
includes
faster
both.
process. Yes.
Because it includes both. Faster process is another thing.
A person
Because
may
it
be
includes
knowing
both.
all the
when you
shastras,
think
but
about
you're
it, finding the root does involve a certain degree of attachment. There is a certain amount of ego involved when you're trying to find the root.
Yeah.
And when you, after you find the root, you understand the root, the moment you start watering it, then the sense of detachment comes.
Exactly. That will come later on. He says why watering the root is important and not just finding it.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I getting to your point?
Yes.
Here,
you made
you're
a very
not yet.
subtle distinction there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Here, what is the thing? You're not purified yet.
Yeah.
This is the only thing which is going to
In that you're
purify
a
you.
devotee, in this you may be just
You're a
a
Gyani.
knowledge
You're
seeker.
only a Gyani.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not reached.
You're not
Bhakti-
a devotee, there's a difference.
Bhakti includes everything. Bhakti includes a Gyani, a Karma Yogi, everyone.
See, when you're feeling ignorance, you do it, it purifies you.
Because it's a powerful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Because
that
it's a
is
powerful
that.
thing.
So he's-
But Krishna is saying know it and do
Yeah,
it.
but when I
That's
do it
even
in
more
Yes,
better.
that is.
When I do it in ignorance, there is still attachment. Today I do charitable work, but if I am doing charitable work in ignorance, I am doing it with the idea of I got to do a part of it because it's a part of my social structure.
Yes.
But the moment I do it with a certain thought process behind it, that I'm doing it for this reason, then the sense of detachment comes in.
Attachment, if you see 5.5, if you go to next verse, 5.5, just see the last line of the purport. Can you see it?
One can see this.
This is before that. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. So at least you don't wait till you're detached to Krishna, detached to matter. You automatically start the process of getting attached to Krishna. That's what even the Srimad Bhagavatam shloka in the second verse says. Is that you start, don't wait. Water the root. That's what even she's trying to say. That whether you know that this is my goal or it's not yet, you don't have that complete faith, but just start. Because that will give you complete faith, that will give you complete knowledge. That's a self-purifying process.
Don't become, we shouldn't become desireless, instead give spiritual desires.
Yeah, have spiritual desires. Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tad yogeraphi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati cha pashyati. What's
One
that?
who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are.
He just contradicted himself.
No, he's not.
I'm just
He's
saying
saying that because right now Arjun's idea is that I want to renounce. I don't want to do devotional work. I don't want to do any activity. But Krishna is saying it's one and the same thing. This includes this. It's the same thing. Once you find the root, you're going to water it. Here, you're watering it. You've already found it. In that way, they are at the same level. Yeah. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between conclusions reached by the two processes. If you follow this analogy, it's very clear. Here you're finding the root. You have to understand that I have to water it if I have to get out of this material bondage. Here you're already watering the root. You will simply get to know Vishnu even more. Am I right, Bhairavi?
What?
I'm right, no?
I didn't hear.
I'm asking you, I'm right.
I didn't hear.
It's okay. The last line, we come to the last line. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. So we don't wait for one or the other to happen. I'll simply write that point. It's the most important thing. This first thing, Sankhya Yoga emphasizes detachment from matter. Is that right? And then, here, this process is about attachment to Krishna. They're one and the same.
Now, Anita?
Run.